So here are some of the most common problems meditators face. There are 10 of them, and maybe you can find whatever your current challenge is on this list, and it can help you. First, restlessness and impatience. We've all felt it, right? So many meditators, probably all of us at different times, struggle with the restlessness, the fidgeting, this constant urge to move, this wish to do so. Sometimes the mind is too active, sometimes it's a physical discomfort, but it disrupts the ability to maintain focus, and it can lead to abandoning the practice or a lot of frustration in practice. It can really block meditation. One of the best things to do is to begin with shorter sessions and gradually increase the duration. A little bit of yoga or qigong can be really good, or stretching the limb. If it keeps being a certain limb, do a lot of stretching and movement of that limb and loosen it up before you sit, and try to wind into the meditation. If you go from a really busy mind into trying to meditate, it's going to be difficult. Your mind's going to be moving too fast, so you got to slowly settle it. Wandering mind and difficulty concentrating is the second one. So people drift into thoughts and have worries or daydreams. You have difficulty staying present. So this can make people feel like they're doing it wrong, and then it can build up some self-criticism. So the solution is just to accept that the mind is going to wander a little bit. It's normal, and it takes a little time to rein it in. Also, the solution is to get a little tighter with the meditation, just to be really vigorous about bringing it back to the object of meditation. Do so gently, bring it back in a gentle manner, but use your good object of meditation to remind yourself to bring it back to that. Number 3 is physical discomfort and pain. Sitting for a long time can create a lot of back pain, leg numbness, and just general discomfort. So then the physical pain can become the main focus of the whole session, making it very difficult to remain attentive. So you should adjust your posture if you need, but sit with a bit of physical pain, and a lot of times it'll go away. It's a good thing to kind of balance that. Instead of just instantly moving as soon as you have a little itch, sit through a need to itch until it goes away. It's a really fascinating experience. But if you have a very consistent, strong pains, then maybe consider a different position, a kneeling bench, or even a chair, if you feel that you need to. And you can go back and forth. You can sit on a cushion for 5 or 10, 15 minutes, and then chair for 15 minutes. I do that in very long sessions when it's hours and hours a day at talks and so forth. Number 4 is drowsiness and sleepiness. Oh, this is everybody complains about this. So it is common to feel sleepy, especially when meditating after you've had a long and busy day. You get in a very relaxed posture, and the mind slows down, but it doesn't stop. It just goes right down into sleep. But then the meditation feels ineffective. It feels like it's not really productive, and it's also extremely frustrating to fight sleep in meditation. It's makes for a very unpleasant meditation session. So one thing you can do is to get up, move around a little bit, slowly settle yourself into meditation, straighten your posture. I have a whole video on this. But one of the things you can do is visualize light in your chest and have it shoot up through the top of your head and remain above there. That's a kind of classic technique. Splash water on your face, do a little light stretching, do breathing like that, pull in a full breath and breathe it out. But my favorite is actually learning to sleep during meditation and taking short naps while you're actually meditating. It's a very profound experience. So if you can find that video on my channel, it can be very helpful, and that's what I personally do. Number 5 is emotionally being overwhelmed. Meditation can sometimes bring up suppressed memories, such as sadness, anger, or anxiety, especially. Now, I have a whole course on anxiety. The link is in the description, and it's free, so check it out. And as of March 2025, I'm looking for about 100 beta testers to give me feedback on the program, so I can get really rock solid to help people. So that's all free, and you get a lot of personal attention from me. If you know anybody or you want to yourself, click on the link, and if it takes you to a Google Doc, then that's still active. At any rate, the emotional overwhelm, these intense emotions can feel overwhelming, and they can discourage people from practice. I've known a couple of people actually who gave up practice because when they were practicing, so much intensity came up. And sometimes it was just a profound meditative experience that they couldn't handle, but the real reason they quit was because it was so emotionally intense. They got freaked out, they got scared. And other people, I heard about another fellow who, when he was doing a certain practice, he just cried a lot. It was so emotionally intense, and he quit. He walked away. So the primary component of that is to realize that these occurrences and arisings in the mind are temporary, and with meditation you can work through them surprisingly quickly if you have the proper view. And before you get into that, always use a good meditation with mindfulness. See things mindfully and observe them in a dispassionate manner. Just watch them arising and dissolving. Work on a stable mind. That stable mind is going to be your key to getting you through everything. And that's the mind we're going through at the end of the day. It's a mind that's not disturbed by the little problems in life. I think of it as an adult mind, right? And I think a lot of us still have the minds of children, and we're so easily disturbed and bothered by things because that's the way the world has trained us to be. But this is moving yourself into being an adult. Another thing that can help is journaling. I've never done that. It comes as a recommended idea. And if you need to seek guidance from a meditation teacher, you can drop a link, you can drop a comment in here, and if I see it, I will try and get back to you as soon as possible. I'm also taking on a few free students, so if somebody's really interested in this, you can ask that. Obviously I have limited capacity for that, but if anybody wants, then we can look at that as a possibility. So number 6 is doubt about progress. So many meditators are not sure if they're actually making progress, if it's going anywhere, especially if they don't experience immediate calm or insights. And one of the worst things is to have a few really good sessions and then come in and you can't find it again, and you're back to bad sessions. You feel like you're regressing rather than progressing. Meditation is slow. That's one of the things. And that outcome can make people feel very discouraged. You can compare yourself to others that are great meditators and so forth, and even question the effectiveness of the practice. So one of the solutions is, like I said, to realize that meditation is slow, but it's also not straight up. It's like this. It goes up and down, but it does trend in the upward direction as long as you're approaching it with realistic expectations. So the next one is number 7. It's resistance to regular practice, or just resistance to getting to the cushion. So it's hard to find time, it's hard to remember to meditate, and it simply is just, you're supposed to go in there, but you're finding ways to not do it. This is also called laziness. It's one of the most classic obstacles of people when they're first setting out on a meditative journey, and it can last for years and years and years because people don't deal with it properly. They don't overcome it. And then that inconsistency that results from that can block the ability to become a deeper meditator, to develop a deep meditative practice. And obviously you're not going to accumulate many benefits if you don't really attain a state of deep meditation. In fact, it can block people from actually truly meditating. So the solution, of course, is to create a regular time and a dedicated space for meditation. Don't give yourself a choice. It's just, that's what you do every day. It's just a habit. And starting with short, manageable sessions of the right length of time, enough that you can get into a meditative state, but not so much that it starts to get tiresome and fatiguing, and then slowly build them up over time, and that can build a sustainable meditation habit. My favorite pro tip is meditate in the morning, right after you get up. Don't look at technology, don't check emails, none of that stuff. Get up and maybe study a bit of meditation, a little bit of inspiring quotes, read a book or something with that kind of thing in it, and think about meditation a little bit, and then take your coffee or tea and quickly go into your meditative space and start doing it. So the eighth one is kind of interesting. It applies not to everybody, not everybody has this problem, but a certain amount of people do. It's striving too hard, it's pushing too much. So if we get too ambitious and put in too much effort to try and achieve especially specific meditation states, extreme calm or insight into emptiness or luminosity or whatever, that can lead to tension and dissatisfaction, or putting too much energy and tightness into it. This generally happens when we're actually meditating. We're getting into a good meditative state and we want to deepen it. We want to deepen it so strongly. I've done this a lot of times myself, and it tends to have a rebound effect, kind of like winding a spring too tight, and then it comes apart like that. So that mentality counteracts somewhat the essence of meditation, which is largely about letting go of the ambitious projects of the self. It's a really important aspect of it, is not to get too into attainment, but to more like experience the depth of our mind. It is a bit of a delicate balancing act, because we do need some sense of where we're going in meditation and what we're doing. But when we get too focused on it, too tight on it, it tends to create a certain level of attainment and progress, but it blocks further progress because it's not relaxed enough. We need to go back into, from being too tight, back into a little bit of not too tight, but not too loose. So the other solutions are to just generally adopt an attitude of not striving, not so much goal oriented, and rather about bringing the mind into the present moment, as they say, which is a little cliche, I agree, but also bring the mind onto the object and just settling with the object, and go back and forth between just letting everything go and then bring it back to the attention, and just dance that back and forth, bring it back and forth. Number 9 is boredom. So the issue is the repetitive nature of meditation can sometimes lead to feelings of boredom, the sense that nothing's changing. And then boredom causes the mind to seek distraction. Suddenly your phone says, you better text this person, or did it make a little text noise or something? You better check that. I've had a friend that I was meditating once with, and the whole time during the meditation, she would just ding, as soon as she'd get a text on her phone, she'd call it and she'd text and go back to practice. And I just thought, I can't meditate with this person, or I mean, I could, but it was pretty distracting, and I don't think she was capable of achieving a strong meditative approach with that happening. And I hope she set it aside and realized it was blocking. Generally, when we do group meditations, no phones are allowed in the shrine hall unless somebody has like a serious emergency that might be affecting them, of course. Other than that, not allowed. So the solution for boredom is to recognize boredom as just another mental state. First of all, you can just label it thinking. And from that point of view, you can see that we're developing the virtues of patience and equanimity, and having that little bit of a goal in there, a little bit of a thing that's really happening, is really helpful, because each moment of boredom creates that equivalent amount of the virtue that we're going for. The other thing is to realize that I don't get bored in meditation anymore, and the reason is that I become fascinated by the object of meditation. It took a long time, but that's because I didn't know that was okay, or that was the idea. So I want to share that with you and let you realize that any object you look at with your mind with a meditative focus has a sort of infinite ability to open up and expand. So look at it with that kind of interest, and dissolve the mind into it. And that process is fascinating. There's a lot of nuance to things we're looking at, and to the process of looking at things, and to being the looker. So we're looking at all those components. We're feeling that process during meditation. And that is fascinating in and of itself. So by truly meditating, there won't be boredom. The last one, number 10, is over-identification with thoughts and feelings. So meditators, or anybody, get caught up in thoughts and emotions, and we forget the purpose of the practice, which is to observe them without attachment. This can really happen with more profound emotions, right? Where we feel like we're meditating and we develop a strong sense of compassion or devotion or courage or whatever it is. And we get too excited, we get too involved in it, and forget that there's a balancing act of just watching it and feeling it and allowing it to arise and dissolve on its own. So when we get those really great, powerful feelings, we tend to cling to them and try and increase them and keep them going because they feel good. Also, it can be done on the negative side, so that we tend to focus on those thoughts and emotions, trying to meditate on them, but they subtly keep perpetuating themselves instead of dissolving themselves because of the focus. So the solution is to regularly remind yourself that these are thoughts, to just label them thinking, the clear, straightforward label, and then that can help create a little bit of space between you and whatever is arising, and you can see it clear with just plain awareness. So the next video is called Karma is Not Morality, and it's helping to clear up the confusions about karma. You can check it out here, and if you have issues with anxiety and work with the meditation, check out the link in the description. I got a free course in right now. As of the posting of this video, I'm looking for people to be beta testers on that, so you can apply and it'll take you to a Google Doc if that's still the situation.